My brother tore me down for years while parents just laughed. One freezing night, they threw my bag out into the street and slammed the door. I walked away. Years later, one signature turned their mortgage into my monthly rent check. Hook, 10 seconds. You know that feeling when your entire world shatters and the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones holding the hammer? What if I told you my own family, my own brother and parents, didn't just kick me out in the dead of winter, but forced me to pay their rent years later? It sounds impossible, right? But trust me, this story is all too real, and it's about how their tough love came back to haunt them with interest. It started with an invoice, printed on Travis's slick, professional letterhead, color-coded, itemized down to the dollar. My brother, Travis, slid it across the dinner table like he was closing some high-stakes business deal. I ran the numbers, he said, a smug look on his face. 6 months of Kyle living here has cost Mom and Dad $3,479. Give or take. I stared at the paper. Electric overages, water bill increases, groceries, even furniture wear and tear. $240. My parents sat on either side of me, silent. Dad's jaw was tight, a vein pulsing at his temple. Mom picked at her napkin, her eyes avoiding mine. The pot roast sat untouched, a silent witness to the escalating tension. Travis leaned back, arms crossed. It was his signature loan officer posture, the same look he gave people right before he denied their mortgage applications. I'm just saying, he continued, his voice dripping with false concern, you've been here since July. It's January. That's almost 7 months of them carrying you. I looked at Dad. 62 years old, retired machinist, living on a fixed income. I've been paying for groceries, I managed to say, though it felt weak even to me. Travis's smile wasn't warm. It was the kind that meant he'd already won, and he was just waiting for me to catch up. With what money? Your unemployment ran out in October. He wasn't wrong. It all started back in June. A car accident. Not my fault. Some idiot ran a red light and T-boned my Civic. My leg took the worst of it. A fractured femur. 3 brutal months of physical therapy. I lost all my freelance graphic design clients. I couldn't sit at a desk for more than 20 minutes without my legs screaming in protest. By September, my savings were gone. I called Mom in tears. Come home, honey, she'd said, her voice so comforting then. We'll help you. That was 5 months ago. Now Mom finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Honey, we're just worried about you. I turned to her. 60 years old, worked as a school secretary for 30 years. A kind face, the kind of mom who used to bake cookies for bake sales and volunteer at church raffles. But right now, she wouldn't look at me. We're on a fixed income, Dad added, his voice clipped. Pension and Social Security. We're not swimming in cash here. Travis tapped the invoice. Tap, tap, tap. Which is why we need to talk about next steps. I looked at him. My older brother, 37. Married, 2 kids in private school, a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, driving a leased Audi he probably couldn't truly afford, but refused to give up. We used to be close. When we were kids, before high school. Before he figured out that being the golden child meant stepping on me to stay elevated. I remembered my senior year. I had a portfolio, due for art school applications. 40 hours of work, paintings, sketches, digital mock-ups. The night before the deadline, Travis accidentally spilled an entire pot of coffee all over it. Ruined. Mom and Dad just laughed it off. Boys will be boys. Rough housing. That same week, they bought him a used Camry for graduation. Told me art school wasn't a real investment anyway. I went to community college. Taught myself graphic design on YouTube and Skillshare. Travis got his MBA. And now here he was, across from me, with an invoice and that same damn smile. So, here's what I'm thinking, Travis said, cutting through my thoughts. Mom and Dad can't keep supporting you. And honestly, you need a push. Tough love. Mom's eyes welled up. She dabbed at them with the napkin. I waited. Travis pulled out his phone, scrolled, and then turned the screen towards me. I found place. Shared house. For guys, all working. Room available. $525 a month. I already called the landlord. He paused, letting that sink in. You can move in tonight. I blinked. Tonight? Fresh start, Travis chirped. New environment. It'll motivate you. Dad shifted in his seat, avoiding my gaze. We think it's for the best, son. I looked around the table at the 3 people who were supposed to be my family. The pot roast was still untouched. The invoice, with my name on it like I was a client and not their child, was still on the table. You're kicking me out, I said, the words tasting like ash. Travis actually laughed. A real, hearty laugh. We're helping you grow up. There's a difference. Mom reached for my hand. I pulled it back. Kyle, please don't make this harder than it is, she pleaded. I stood up. Travis stood too. Good. Go pack. I'll drive you. I'm not going to some random house you picked. Dad's voice went hard. The voice he used when I was a kid and talked back. You're going somewhere tonight. I looked at him. The man who taught me how to change a tire, how to throw a baseball, who used to call me kiddo and ruffle my hair. He wasn't that man anymore. Maybe he never was. I walked upstairs without another word. My childhood bedroom hadn't changed in 16 years. Same faded posters, same scratched desk, same dent in the wall from when Travis shoved me during an argument when we were teenagers. Mom and Dad had laughed that off, too. I pulled my duffel bag from the closet, started packing clothes, toiletries, laptop charger, phone charger, the bare essentials. I left the posters, the books, everything that didn't fit in one bag. Downstairs, I could hear them talking. Muffled voices through the floorboards. Travis said something. Mom laughed. Nervous, but genuine. They were relieved. I zipped the bag, looked around one last time. This room had been my safe space once. The place I hid when the world got too loud. Now it just felt small. I picked up the duffel and walked downstairs. Travis was standing by the front door, coat on, keys in hand. Ready? He asked. I'm not going with you. He frowned. Then where are you going? Not your problem anymore. I stepped toward the door. Travis moved in front of it. Kyle, don't be stupid. It's 26 degrees outside. You don't have a plan. Move. He stared at me, then he grabbed the duffel bag from my hand. And he threw it. The bag sailed past me, through the open door, and hit the frozen front lawn with a pathetic thud. The zipper busted on impact, and my shirt spilled into the street. I turned to look at my parents. Dad stood in the living room doorway, arms crossed, face blank. Mom next to him, hand over her mouth, eyes wet, but not stopping any of this. I looked back at Travis. Feel better? I asked. He shrugged. You wanted to leave. Now you're leaving. I walked past him, out onto the porch. The cold hit me like a physical blow. 6 degrees, no coat. I'd left it inside, and wasn't going back for it. I walked down the steps, picked up my shirts from the street, shoved them back into the broken duffel bag. Behind me, I heard the door. Knock close gently. Slam. Then the deadbolt. Click. I stood on the frozen lawn, holding my bag, breath coming out in clouds. Through the living room window, I could see them. Travis saying something. Dad nodding. Mom wiping her eyes. Then Travis laughed, loud enough I could hear it through the glass. I turned and started walking. Mrs. Chun, who lived 3 houses down and had been there since I was a kid, was getting her mail. She saw me. Duffel bag with clothes hanging out. No coat. Middle of January. Kyle, you okay? I kept walking. Travis's voice drifted after me. He's fine, Mrs. Chun. Just finally growing up. I didn't look back. The Greyhound station was 9 blocks away. I knew because I'd walked there in high school once when I missed the bus and didn't want to call my parents. My legs started aching after block 4. The old injury still healing. The cold wasn't helping. By block 7, I was limping. I reached the station at 10:40 p.m. Inside was fluorescent lighting, plastic chairs, for other people waiting. All of them looked as tired as I felt. I sat down, put the duffel next to me, and looked up at the departures board. Phoenix, Arizona, $91. Departs 5:40 a.m. Tucson, Arizona, $97. Departs 6:15 a.m. Albuquerque, New Mexico. $76. Departs 7 a.m. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. Checking account, $340.18. That was it. Everything I had left. Phoenix. Warm weather, big city, freelance market. I walked to the ticket counter. The clerk was an older man with a bored expression, looking like he'd been there for 30 years and hated every minute. One way to Phoenix, I said. He didn't look up. Leaves 5:40 a.m. That's in 7 hours. I know. He printed the ticket. $91. I handed him my debit card. He swiped it, handed it back with the ticket. Boarding starts at 5:20. Don't be late. I took the ticket and sat back down. Pulled out my phone, checked my bank account again. $249.18. The station closed the ticket counter at 11 p.m., but left the waiting area open. I tried to sleep on the plastic chair, using my duffel as a pillow. Didn't work. Too cold. Too uncomfortable. Too much spinning in my head. At 12:30 a.m., I gave up. Walked across the street to a truck stop diner, the kind that's open 24 hours for long-haul drivers. I sat in a corner booth and ordered coffee. The waitress, maybe late 50s, name tag said Linda, had tired eyes. The look of someone who'd seen every kind of human walk through that door. You waiting for the early bus? She asked, pouring my coffee.
Yeah.
Phoenix. She nodded. Running from something or toward something? I thought about it. Both, I guess. She topped off my coffee without me asking. You should eat. Long trip. I ordered eggs and toast. $6.50. She brought extra toast and didn't charge for it.
On the house, she said.
You look like you need it. It was the first kindness I'd received in 6 months. I ate slowly, made it last. At 2 a.m., I pulled out my phone.
Couldn't sleep anyway.
Might as well use the time. I opened the county property records website. Public access, free. Typed in my parents' address, 1247 Maple Ridge Drive. The record loaded. Owners, Robert Brennan and Linda Brennan. Purchased June 1994. $142,000. Last refinance, March 2024. Appraised value, $410,000. Cash out amount, $80,000. New mortgage balance, $330,000. Monthly payment, $2,987. Term, 30 years. I stared at the screen. They'd refinanced. Took out $80,000. For what? I scrolled down, found the lien holder, clicked through to the loan documents, public record. There it was, in the disbursement section. Wire transfer to Travis Brennan, $80,000. They had given him $80,000. While I was recovering from a car accident, burning through my savings, they were writing Travis a check for a down payment on a rental property investment. I screenshotted everything. Didn't know why, just did. Then I opened my phone's calculator. Dad's pension, roughly $2,400 a month. He'd mentioned it once. Mom's Social Security, around $1,100. She'd complained it was lower than she expected. Total monthly income, $3,500. Mortgage payment, $2,987. Remaining after mortgage, $513 for everything else. Utilities, food, car, insurance, medical. They were house poor. One big expense, and they'd be underwater. I searched, what happens if you can't pay mortgage? Google gave me the answer in half a second. Foreclosure. Bank takes the house. Public auction. I searched, can you buy your parents' foreclosed house?
Yes.
Anyone can bid at a foreclosure auction, including family. I leaned back in the booth, staring at the diner ceiling. Linda refilled my coffee. I hadn't even noticed it was empty. You okay, hun? Yeah, I said, just thinking. She left me alone after that. At 5:20 a.m., I walked back to the Greyhound station. The sun wasn't up yet. Sky still dark, cold still biting. I boarded the bus, took a window seat in the back. The driver did a head count, closed the door, started the engine. At 5:40 a.m. exactly, the bus pulled out of the station. I watched the city lights fade into highway darkness, pulled out my phone, opened notes, and started typing. Robert and Linda Brennan. 1247, Maple Ridge Drive mortgage $330,000 at $2,987 per month. Refinanced March 2024. Gave Travis $80,000. Monthly income $3,500. One bad month default. Remember, I saved the note, put my phone in my pocket, leaned my head against the cold window. 22 hours to Phoenix. And however many years it took after that. But I'd be ready. Because the only thing Travis taught me that was worth learning was this. Family will destroy you if you let them.
So don't let them. Plan.
And when they're the ones standing in the cold, make sure the door locks from your side. The bus rolled into Phoenix at 3:47 p.m. on Sunday. 23 hours, 2 rest stops, 1 driver change in Albuquerque. My leg felt like it had been welded into position. I grabbed my duffel from the overhead rack and limped off the bus into heat I wasn't ready for. January in Phoenix, 74 degrees and sunny. January back home, 26 degrees and hostile. I'd take the heat. The bus station smelled like diesel and old coffee. I found a bench outside and pulled out my phone. Searched cheapest room Phoenix. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, hostel websites. Found one. Desert Inn Hostel. $20 per night. Dorm room. 6 beds. Shared bathroom. Called the number. A woman answered on the 3rd ring. Desert Inn. Do you have a bed available tonight? Yeah, check-in's at 4 o'clock. Cash only for the first night. I had $249. I can do $22. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I took a city bus. $2.50. The driver gave me a day pass without me asking. The hostel was in a converted motel off East Van Buren. Paint peeling, bars on the windows. The kind of place where you don't ask questions and people don't ask you. I checked in, paid $22, got a key to room 11. Walked in. 6 bunk beds. 2 guys already inside. One asleep, one on his phone. The one on his phone looked up. Top or bottom? Top's fine. I threw my duffel on the top bunk in the corner, climbed up, lay down. First bed in 36 hours. I was asleep in 4 minutes. Monday morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. The hostel had free Wi-Fi in the common area. Terrible signal, but it worked. I sat at a plastic table with my phone and started applying to jobs. Indeed, Craigslist, local temp agencies. Warehouse worker, delivery driver, retail associate. Anything entry-level that didn't require a degree or experience I couldn't prove. Applied to 63 positions in 4 hours. Got 3 auto-replies, 2 rejections, 1 interview request. Warehouse job. Forklift operator. $16 per hour, night shift. Interview scheduled for Wednesday at 2 p.m. I showed up 15 minutes early. The warehouse was massive. Industrial shelving stacked 40 feet high. Forklifts buzzing like angry hornets. The manager's name was Rick. 50-something, crew cut, looked like he'd been lifting boxes since before I was born. You ever operate a forklift? He asked. No, but I can learn. He looked at my application. Says here you did graphic design. I did. So, why are you applying to move boxes in a warehouse? I could have lied. Made up something about wanting a change, about physical work being fulfilling. But I was too tired to lie. I need money. You're hiring. That's the math. Rick stared at me for a second. Then he laughed. Fair enough. You start Monday. Night shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. pays $16 an hour. No benefits for the first 90 days. Show up on time and don't break anything.
He stuck out his hand.
I shook it. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Night shift's brutal. He wasn't wrong. The first week nearly destroyed me. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. 8 hours of moving pallets, loading trucks, stacking boxes. My legs screamed the entire time. The old injury hated the repetitive motion. Hated the cold warehouse air. Hated everything. I took ibuprofen like it was candy. Iced my leg during breaks. Limped to the bus stop every morning at 6:15. By Friday, I wanted to quit. But I didn't. Because quitting meant going back to zero. And zero meant I'd wasted a $91 bus ticket and every ounce of spite that got me here. So, I showed up Saturday and Sunday.
And the next Monday.
After 2 weeks, my body adjusted. Mostly. After 4 weeks, I stopped limping. After 6 weeks, I got my first paycheck that wasn't just for training. 40 hours at $16 an hour, $640. Taxes took about $110. Net, $530 a week. $2,120 per month. I sat in the hostel common area and did the math on a napkin. Hostel, $660 per month, $22 x 30 days. Food, $300 if I was careful. Bus pass, $64. Phone bill, $45. Total expenses, $1,069. Money left over, $1,051 per month. Not enough to rent an apartment, but enough to save. I opened a savings account at a local credit union. Deposited $800 for my first full month. It felt like planting a seed in concrete, but it was something. Month 2, I bought a laptop. Used Craigslist. Met the guy in a Starbucks parking lot. HP Pavilion, 5 years old, slow. Screen had a dead pixel in the corner, but it worked. $180 cash. I took it back to the hostel, logged into my old email, and started rebuilding. My graphic design portfolio was gone. Everything had been on my desktop PC back at my parents' house. No cloud backup. No external drive. I'd have to start over. So I did. Spent every weekend at the public library. Free Wi-Fi, quiet, air conditioning. Created a new portfolio website. Free hosting, basic template. Made 3 spec projects. Fake companies, fake logos, just to have something to show. Posted profiles on Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer. Set my rates low, $50 for a logo, $200 for a basic website. I needed reviews more than I needed money. First client came in week 3. Landscaping company in Tempe. Needed a logo. Budget, $75. I spent 6 hours on it. Sent 3 revisions. Client approved the second one. Left a 5-star review. Great work. Fast turnaround. It paid about $12 per hour after Upwork's fees. Less than I made at the warehouse. But it was a start. By month 4, I had 8 reviews. All 5 stars. A small law firm in Scottsdale reached out. Needed a website redesign. Budget, $1,200. I almost didn't bid. It felt too big, too risky. But I did it anyway. 3 weeks of work, every weekend, late nights after warehouse shifts. Delivered the site. Client loved it. Paid in full. Left a glowing review. I had $4,800 in my savings account. I was 28 years old, sleeping in a hostel bunk bed, working a night shift warehouse job, but I had $4,800 and a 5-star rating on Upwork. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Month 6, I got a Google alert. I'd set it up during my first week in Phoenix. Searched for my parents' names and hometown. Just to know. Not to interfere. Just to watch from a distance. The alert email came on a Tuesday. Subject: Robert Brennan. New search result. I clicked it. Local newspaper article. Small town news section. Headline: Community rallies for retired couple facing medical debt. Photo: my parents standing outside their house. Mom in a wheelchair. Knee wrapped in a brace. I read the article. Mom had emergency knee surgery in April. Complications. Second surgery required. Hospital bills totaled $47,000. Insurance denied part of it, claiming a pre-existing condition. Travis had started a GoFundMe, raised $8,200 so far. The article quoted him, "It's been hard on the family, but we're staying strong. Community support means everything." I scrolled to the comment section. A neighbor posted, "Where's their other son? Why isn't he helping?" Travis replied, "Kyle left the family years ago. We haven't heard from him. It's just us now." I closed the article. Open my phone's calculator. Parents' monthly income, $3,500. Mortgage, $2,987. Medical bills, $47,000, probably on a payment plan, maybe $600 per month. Total monthly outflow, $3,587. Remaining, -$87. For utilities, food, gas, insurance, everything else. They were drowning. One more crisis and they'd default on the mortgage. I screenshotted the article. Saved it to a folder on my phone labeled evidence. Didn't send them money. Didn't call. Didn't reach out. Just watched. Month 10, I quit the warehouse. My Upwork income had grown. 12 active clients. Monthly average, $3,800. Some months hit $4,200, others dipped to $3,400. Variable, unpredictable, but enough. I gave Rick 2 weeks' notice. You sure? He asked. You've been solid here. I could move you to day shift. Maybe bump you to 17 an hour. I appreciate it, but I need to try this. He nodded. Good luck out there. You've got my number if it doesn't work out.
We shook hands.
I didn't think I'd need his number. I rented a studio apartment in Tempe. $775 per month. 400 square feet. Kitchenette. Bathroom with a shower that barely fit. But it was mine. My name on the lease. My key.
My door that locked.
I bought a desk from IKEA, $60. A chair from Goodwill, $12. A second monitor from Facebook Marketplace, $40. Set up a home office in the corner. This was my business. On the 1-year anniversary of leaving, I sat down and reviewed my numbers. Total income from warehouse and freelance, $41,300. After taxes and expenses, $28,100. Saved, $11,847. Current bank balance, $11,847. Not rich, not comfortable, but stable. And no one could take it away from me. I didn't celebrate, didn't tell anyone. Just opened a beer, sat on my apartment floor, and let the silence sit with me. 2 months later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello.
Pause. Then a voice I knew.
Kyle? It's your father. I didn't hang up.
Didn't speak.
Just waited. Your mother wanted me to call. We're having some financial difficulties. Still nothing from me. Travis mentioned you're doing web design work now. If you have any extra money, we could really use. No, son. We're family. You threw my bag in the street and laughed. We're not family. I hung up, blocked the number, went back to work. For months after that, a client emailed me. His name was Dave, a real estate investor. I'd built him a website for his property management company 6 months earlier. Subject: quick question. Kyle, site's been great. Traffic's up 40%. Quick question. I saw your business address on the invoice. You're originally from hometown, right? I'm looking to expand into that market. Any chance you know the area? Looking for distressed properties, foreclosures, that kind of thing. Let me know. I stared at the email for a full minute, then typed back. Yeah, I know the area. Let me check something. I opened a new tab. County foreclosure records. Public access. Filtered by zip code. Sorted by filing date. Scrolled down. And I saw it. 1247 Maple Ridge Drive. Filed for foreclosure. September 2024. Reason: failure to pay mortgage for months past due. Auction date: December 18, 2024. My parents' house. I read the notice 3 times to make sure I wasn't misreading. Then I leaned back in my chair, stared at my apartment ceiling. Thought about the invoice Travis had slid across the table. The bag in the street. The door slamming shut. Thought about Mom's voice saying, "You'll thank us later, sweetie." Thought about Dad calling me months later, begging for money. Thought about Travis telling the newspaper I'd abandoned them. I opened my email. Typed. Found something. Good bones, motivated sellers, auction in 6 weeks. Interested. Sent it to Dave. He called me 10 minutes later. Tell me about it. I pulled up the property records, read him the details. 1994 construction, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1847 square feet. Last appraisal, $410,000. Current mortgage balance, $330,000. Foreclosure auction starting bid would probably be around $280,000. Dave was quiet for a second. You know this property?
Yeah.
How well? Very well. Another pause. This personal for you?
I thought about lying.
Decided not to. It's my parents' house. Silence on the other end. Then, Jesus, Kyle. They're 4 months behind. They're going to lose it. Someone's going to buy it. Might as well be us.
Us.
I want in.
Partnership.
I'll put up cash. You handle the logistics. We split equity. Dave was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You're sure about this?" I looked at the foreclosure notice on my screen. At the address I grew up at. At the place where my brother threw my bag into the street while my parents watched. I'm sure. All right. Send me everything you have. I'll run the numbers. If it works, we move. I sent him the property records, the auction details, the appraisal history. We talked for another hour, crunching numbers, working out terms. I'd invest $60,000. He'd cover the rest. I'd own 30% equity. He'd manage the property through his LLC. My name wouldn't appear anywhere public. Just a silent partner, watching from the shadows. We hung up. I sat in my apartment, staring at my phone. In 6 weeks, my parents' house would be sold at auction. And if everything went according to plan, they'd be paying rent to a landlord they'd never meet. A landlord who used to be their son. The one they threw away. The one they said needed tough love. I opened my notes app. Typed one line. December 18th. Be ready. Then I closed my phone, leaned back in my chair, and smiled. For the first time in 2 years. December 18th, 2024. I flew into my hometown the night before. Rented a car at the airport. Drove to a Holiday Inn 3 miles from the courthouse. Didn't sleep much. Dave's flight landed at 7 a.m. We met in the hotel lobby at 8. He was 52, gray hair, wore a sport coat that had seen 100 property deals. Firm handshake. You ready for this? He asked.
Yeah.
You sure? Because once we buy it, there's no going back. Your parents are going to find out eventually. I know. He nodded. All right then. Let's go buy a house. The auction was at 10 a.m. on the courthouse steps. Foreclosure auctions in this county were public. Anyone could bid. Cash or cashier's check only. We arrived at 9:45. 6 other people already there, investors mostly, circling like vultures. The auctioneer was a woman in her 60s, county employee, bored expression. She'd done this 1,000 times. At 10 a.m. exactly, she started. Property located at 1247 Maple Ridge Drive. 3-bed, 2-bath, 1847 square feet. Foreclosed due to non-payment. Opening bid, $280,000. Dave raised his hand. $285. A man in a red jacket countered. $290. Dave. $295. Silence. The auctioneer scanned the crowd. $295. Going once, red jacket looked at his phone. Shook his head.
Out.
Going twice, I held my breath. Sold to bidder 403 for $295,000. Dave turned to me. We got it. I just nodded.
Couldn't speak.
Didn't trust my voice. We went inside to finalize the paperwork. Dave's LLC, Summit Property Holdings, was listed as the buyer. My name appeared nowhere. Just a wire transfer from my account to Dave's, $60,000. Partnership agreement signed separately, a private document. I owned 30% equity in my childhood home. And my parents had no idea. We drove past the house on the way back to the airport. Dad's truck was in the driveway, lights on inside. They were home, still living there for now. You want to stop? Dave asked.
No.
Not yet. He dropped me at the airport. I flew back to Phoenix that night, sat in seat 17C, and stared out the window at the city disappearing below. In 60 days, My parents would get an eviction notice, and the life they knew would be over. January 5th, 2025. The notice arrived by certified mail. I wasn't there to see it, but Dave's property manager sent me a copy. Official county letterhead. Legal language. Property sold at foreclosure auction December 18, 2024. New owner, Summit Property Holdings LLC. Current occupants have 60 days to vacate premises or sign lease agreement with new ownership. Lease terms attached. I read the terms Dave had drawn up. $2,400 per month. 1-year lease. Security deposit $2,400. First and last month due at signing. Market rate for the area.
Fair.
Legal.
Standard.
Also impossible for them to afford. I forwarded the document to my personal email, saved it in the evidence folder. Then I waited. 3 days later, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Kyle, it's Travis. We need to talk. Call me. I deleted it.
He called.
I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Kyle, I don't know where you are, but Mom and Dad lost the house. Some investment company bought it. They're trying to charge $2,400 a month rent. I can't cover that. I've got 3 kids in private school and my own mortgage. If you have any money saved, now would be the time to help. Call me back. I listened to it twice, then deleted it. Blocked his number. February 10th, 2025. Dave called me. They signed the lease. I was at my desk, working on a logo design for a coffee shop. Stopped mid-click. Both of them.
Yep.
Came into the property management office this morning. Your mom was crying. Your dad looked like he wanted to punch someone, but they signed. Did they ask who owns the LLC?
Yeah.
Property manager told them it's a private investment group. Confidential ownership structure. Standard language. I leaned back in my chair. And the rent. First payment due March 1st. If they're late, standard late fees apply. $50 plus 10 per day. Okay. Kyle, you sure you want to do this?
I can still sell the place.
We'd make a profit. You'd walk away clean. I thought about it. About the invoice at the dinner table. The bag in the street. The door slamming. About Dad's voice on the phone months later asking for money. About Travis telling the newspaper I'd abandon them. I'm sure. All right. I'll keep you posted. He hung up. I sat there for a minute, then opened my banking app, checked the business account Dave and I shared for the property. Scheduled deposit, March 1st. Estimated amount, $2,400. My share, 30%. $720. I closed the app, went back to work. March 1st, 2025. The deposit hit. $720. From my parents' rent check. I stared at the notification on my phone. First payment on time. I should have felt something. Triumph. Satisfaction. Vindication. Instead, I just felt tired. I transferred my share to my personal savings account, closed the app, and went to the gym. Didn't think about it for the rest of the day. May 14th, 2025. The water heater broke. Dave forwarded me the email from the property manager. Tenant reported no hot water. Plumber confirmed water heater failure. 12 years old. Recommend replacement. Cost $1,840 installed. I replied, approve it. The plumber went out the next day, replaced the unit, sent the bill to the property manager. My parents called the office to complain. Mom's voice on the recording Dave sent me. The old landlord would have just repaired it for free. This is ridiculous. We're already paying $2,400 a month, and now we have to deal with this. Property manager's response. Ma'am, you are the old landlords, and the reason it wasn't maintained is because you didn't maintain it. The new owner is investing in the property to preserve its value. That benefits you as tenants. She hung up. I listened to the recording twice, then deleted it. July 22nd, 2025. Travis called the property management office. Dave forwarded me the notes. Caller identified himself as Robert and Linda Brennan's son. Demanded to know ownership structure of LLC. Became aggressive when informed ownership is confidential. Threatened legal action. Advised him to consult attorney if he has concerns. He hung up. 2 days later, Dave got a call from a lawyer representing Travis Brennan, requesting disclosure of LLC ownership under state transparency laws. Dave's lawyer responded, LLC is properly registered. Ownership disclosed to state authorities as required. No legal obligation to disclose to third parties. The lawyer didn't call back. But Travis didn't stop looking. August 9th, 2025. The rent was late. 12 days past due. Property manager sent the standard notice. $50 late fee plus $10 per day. Total owed. $2,470. Mom called the office, crying. We had medical bills. We thought we'd have the money by the 5th. Please, can you waive the fees just this once? Property manager. I can submit a request to ownership, but I can't make promises. She forwarded the request to Dave. Dave forwarded it to me. Your call, Kyle. What do you want to do? I looked at the email for a long time. Thought about Mom's voice, the crying. Thought about her giggling at the dinner table while Travis threw my bag in the street. I typed back. No exceptions. Standard late fees apply. Dave replied, understood. The payment came through on August 13th, full amount plus fees. My share, $771. I didn't feel good about it, but I didn't feel bad either. Just numb. August 18th, 2025. A mutual friend from high school sent me a screenshot. My hometown has a community Facebook group. Local news, events, gossip. Mom had posted in it. Does anyone know how to reach Kyle Brennan? We've tried his old number, but it's disconnected. This is his mother. It's important. Family emergency. 43 comments. Neighbors asking what happened, offering prayers, asking if I was okay. Travis commented, Kyle left the family years ago. We've tried reaching out, but he doesn't want contact. We're handling things ourselves. Someone replied, that's so sad. I remember Kyle. He was always such a sweet kid. Travis, people change. I stared at the screenshot, wanted to respond, to comment, to tell the truth. But I didn't. Because the truth was complicated and these people didn't need to know. I saved the screenshot to evidence, then blocked my friend who sent it. I didn't need updates anymore. August 25th, 2025. I broke. Not emotionally, just practically. I opened my contacts, scrolled to the number I'd blocked months ago, unblocked it. Dialed. It rang 4 times. Dad answered. Hello. His voice sounded older. Tired. It's Kyle. Silence. Long enough I thought he'd hung up. Then, Kyle? Is that really you? Yeah. Where are you? Your mother's been trying to reach. I know. Another pause. Are you okay? I'm fine. I heard you're having trouble with your landlord.
His voice changed.
Harder. How did you hear about that? Doesn't matter. I know you lost the house. I know you're renting now. We didn't lose it. We had some financial trouble. Medical bills. The bank foreclosed. Some investment company bought it. They're charging us $2,400 a month and we can barely. I know. How do you know all this? I took a breath. I'm flying in tomorrow. We need to talk face to face. Kyle, what's going on? Tomorrow. I'll be at the house at 3 p.m. Make sure Travis is there, too. Travis?
Why?
Just make sure he's there. I hung up before he could ask anything else. Booked a flight for the next morning. Packed a small bag. Sat on my apartment floor and tried to figure out what I was going to say. How do you tell your parents you own their house? That every month they've been paying rent to the son they threw away? That the tough love they gave you came back with interest? I didn't have a good answer. But I was going to find out. The plane took off at 6:40 a.m. I landed at 1:15 p.m., rented a car, drove through streets I used to know. Everything looked smaller, older, sadder. Or maybe that was just me. At 2:55 p.m., I pulled up in front of 1247 Maple Ridge Drive. Dad's truck in the driveway. Travis's Audi next to it. They were both there. I sat in the rental car for a minute, looked at the house I grew up in. The porch where Travis threw my bag. The door Dad slammed. The windows I used to look out of as a kid, thinking this place was safe. It wasn't safe then. And it wasn't theirs anymore. I got out of the car, walked up the driveway, knocked on the door, and waited for the life I'd built in silence to finally make some noise. Mom opened the door. She looked older, grayer, thinner than I remembered. Her eyes went wide.
Kyle.
I nodded. Hi, Mom. She just stood there, hand on the doorknob, mouth slightly open. Behind her, I heard footsteps. Dad appeared in the hallway.
He stopped when he saw me.
We stared at each other for a long moment. Can I come in? I asked. Mom stepped aside. I walked into the house I used to live in. It smelled the same. Coffee and old carpet and whatever candle Mom had burning in the kitchen. But it felt different. Smaller. Like I'd outgrown it. Travis was sitting on the couch. He stood up when he saw me. Well, the prodigal son returns.
I didn't respond.
Just walked to the center of the living room and turned to face all three of them. Mom sat down slowly in her chair, the same chair she'd been sitting in the night they kicked me out. Dad stood by the doorway, arms crossed, defensive posture. Travis stayed standing, sizing me up. You look good, Mom said quietly. Healthy. Thanks. Silence. Dad finally spoke. You said we needed to talk. So talk. I pulled a folder from my bag, set it on the coffee table. What's that? Travis asked. Property records. Foreclosure documents. LLC registration. Lease agreement. I opened the folder, spread the papers out. In December, your house was sold at foreclosure auction for $295,000. Purchased by Summit Property Holdings, LLC. Dad's jaw tightened. We know that. We're renting from them now.
Right.
$2,400 a month. Travis stepped forward. Is that why you're here? To rub it in? I looked at him. My older brother, the golden child. The one who convinced our parents to refinance their house and give him $80,000. I'm here because I own the house. The room went silent. Mom blinked. What? I pulled out the LLC documents, the partnership agreement. Summit Property Holdings is owned by my business partner, Dave, and me. He owns 70%. I own 30%. We bought the house at auction. You've been paying me rent for the past 8 months. Dad's face went pale. That's not possible. It's all here. Public record. You can verify it yourself. Travis grabbed the papers, started reading, his hands shaking slightly. Mom just stared at me, eyes filling with tears. Why? She whispered. I looked at her. At the woman who giggled while my brother threw my bag in the street. You wanted me to learn about tough love. I did. I learned that when people throw you away, you don't come crawling back. You rebuild. You plan. And you wait for them to need something you control. Travis threw the papers down. This is insane. You bought our house out of spite. I bought a property at a legal foreclosure auction. You're the one who convinced them to refinance and take out $80,000. You put them in this position. I was trying to help them invest. You were helping yourself. And when they couldn't make the payments, where were you? Where was that $80,000? Travis's face flushed red. My rental property didn't work out. I lost money, too. But you still have your house. Your kids in private school. Your Audi in the driveway. He took a step toward me.
Dad grabbed his arm.
Don't, Dad said quietly. Travis S. Hook him off. Turn back to me. So what now? You evict your own parents? Congratulations. You're a monster.
No.
I'm a landlord. And your tenants who signed a legal lease. Mom started crying. Actually sobbing. Dad looked at me with something I'd never seen before. Not anger.
Shame.
What do you want from us, Kyle? I pulled out another paper, set it on the table. Lease amendment. Rent drops from $2,400 to $1,800 per month. Retroactive to March. I'll refund the difference. Mom looked up. Why would you do that? On one condition, you and Dad go to family therapy with me. 12 sessions. Once a month, I'll fly in for them. Dad's expression hardened. I'm not going to therapy. Then rent stays $2,400. Kyle, please. Mom started. Those are the terms. Therapy or full rent. Your choice. Travis laughed, bitter and sharp. This is unbelievable. You're extorting them into therapy. I'm offering them a discount in exchange for communication. You don't get a vote. You don't live here. They're my parents. Then help them pay rent. Oh, wait. You can't. Because you spent their retirement on a real estate deal that failed. Travis moved fast, lunged at me. I didn't flinch. Dad caught him, pulled him back. Enough. Dad's voice cracked through the room. Both of you. Enough. Travis shook him off, grabbed his keys from the table. I'm done. You want to play landlord? Fine, but don't expect me to watch. He walked out, slammed the door. Through the window, I watched him get in his Audi and peel out of the driveway. The three of us stood in silence. Finally, Mom spoke. I'll do it. The therapy. Dad turned to her. Linda, we lost our house, Robert. Our son owns it. I think we owe him a conversation. Dad looked at me, at the folder on the table, at his wife crying in her chair. This doesn't make us even, he said. I know. And I'm not going to sit in some office and get told I'm a bad father. That's not what therapy is. But if you don't want to go, that's your choice.
He stared at me for a long time.
Then he sat down heavily, like the weight of everything had finally caught up. How much is the rent difference? He asked quietly. $600 a month. I'll cut you a check for the back pay. $3,600. Mom's breath caught. Kyle, I pulled out my checkbook, wrote the check, set it on the table. First therapy session is September 15th. I'll send you the address. I picked up my folder, started toward the door. Mom's voice stopped me. Are you happy with what you've done? I turned back, looked at her, really looked. She was 71 years old, living in a house she used to own, paying rent to a son she'd thrown away. No, I said. I'm not happy, but I'm not angry anymore either. And that's close enough. I left, drove back to the airport, flew home to Phoenix. 3 years and 8 months after they kicked me out, I'd finally said what I needed to say. And it felt like closing a door I should have closed a long time ago. September 15th, 2025. First therapy session. Small office in a strip mall. Therapist's name was Dr. Patricia Chen. Mid-50s, calm voice, patient eyes. Mom showed up. Dad didn't. We sat across from each other in chairs that were too soft. Dr. Chen asked the basic questions. What brought us here? What we hoped to accomplish. Mom cried through most of it. I didn't. We scheduled the next session for October. Over the next year, we met 11 more times. Dad never came, not once. But Mom did. Every month. Session 6, she finally said it. I'm sorry we laughed at you. Session 9, she admitted she knew Travis was manipulating them but didn't want to believe it. Session 12, she asked if I could ever forgive them. I told her the truth. I don't know, but I'm willing to try. It wasn't closure, but it was something. October 2026. I'm sitting on my apartment balcony in Phoenix. Sarah's inside making dinner. We've been together a year and a half. Met at a climbing gym. She knows everything. Doesn't judge any of it. My business pulled in $96,000 this year. I have 8 regular clients, 1 part-time employee. Savings account over $34,000. Not rich, not impressive by anyone's standards but mine. But it's stable. It's mine. And no one can take it away. My parents still rent the house $1,800 a month. They pay on time now. Travis and I haven't spoken since that day in the living room. I heard through Mom he got divorced, moved to Colorado. She doesn't hear from him much anymore. Dad's heart is failing. Mom called last week, said they might need to sell the house and move to assisted living. I told her I'd talk to Dave. We could work something out. Maybe sell it back to them below market. Let them use the equity for care. I don't know yet, but I'm not doing it to hurt them anymore. Sarah walks out onto the balcony, hands me a beer. Your mom called while you were in the shower. Asked if you're coming for Thanksgiving. What did you tell her? That I'd ask you. I think about it. About the last Thanksgiving I spent in that house. The invoice.
The bag.
The cold. Maybe, I say. We'll see. She sits down next to me, takes my hand. You know you don't owe them anything, right? I know. And, you know going back doesn't mean you're weak. I know that, too.
She squeezes my hand.
We sit in silence for a while, the sun setting over Phoenix, the sky turning orange and pink. 3 years ago, I landed in this city with $249 and a broken leg and nothing else. Now I have a business, a girlfriend, a life, and a family that's still broken, but maybe starting to heal.
Slowly.
Painfully. Realistically. I learned something the night they threw my bag in the street. The people who hurt you most are often the ones who taught you how to survive without them. I learned that revenge isn't about making them suffer. It's about building a life so solid, they can't touch it. My parents are still paying rent. I'm still collecting it. But these days, the money doesn't matter as much as the fact that I don't need them anymore. I don't need their approval, their validation, their love. I have my own, and that's the only victory worth having. Sarah leans her head on my shoulder. You good? She asks. I take a sip of my beer. Look out at the city that saved me. Yeah, I say. I'm good. And for the first time in my life, I actually mean it.
Call to action.
So, what do you all think? Given everything I went through, do you think I handled it the right way? Or would you have done things differently? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspectives.